Morning, guys. Yeah, didn't fall off the box this week. So what did we just do, James?
We did a breather.
Breather. Yeah.
Lots of lungs.
Yeah.
Cyclical work, mainly with some push-ups. So lots of ski and bike and row, the classic triathlon for C2, and we added some push-ups in there.
Yeah.
So we called it air quad.
Air quad. 1 minute of ski, rest 10 seconds. 1 minute biker, rest 10 seconds. 1 minute push-ups, rest 10 seconds. 1 minute row. 1 minute row, rest 10 seconds.
Yeah.
1 minute push-ups, rest
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
For 5 sets.
Yes. So, yeah, so what is that, 20 minutes?
20
minutes total
20
work.
seconds,
Yep. With 10 seconds break in between each one.
Those 10 seconds are,
Just take score.
yeah,
Transition.
just to get
Yeah.
from one piece of equipment to the next.
Yeah, which we did pretty good.
We did.
We acted as a team there.
Except for my first one.
I
where
wasn't a good teammate.
I
You guys were
jumped
great
on-
teammates.
I
You
jumped on the
specifically
bike.
were a
I
great
felt
teammate.
like I kept forgetting to press the
You did it most times.
refresh on the ski.
Yeah, same
I
thing
tried.
with the
I will
bike. I know,
say-
I didn't.
And every machine that you went to, Georgia, was completely reset.
Yeah,
I reset
thank you.
every time.
Absolutely.
That's why I don't like team. I never was a part of team.
Jim's like, I just go shit about
I
myself.
can't even
man.
prescribe team workouts. Team just doesn't even work in my vocabulary.
I'm typically a better teammate than an athlete, so I try and lean
That's
into
cool.
those characteristics.
Yeah, it's good to know your lane, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm just really good at everything, so wherever you guys
Wherever you
need
put me. Put me in,
I'm
coach.
just like
What do you want me to
utility.
do?
No, I'm kidding. I'm subpar at everything, but not terrible at anything. Ooh, it's pretty good. Subpar at everything, not terrible at anything.
That,
Yeah,
it's
mediocre.
quite a resume so right there. Put that on your LinkedIn, Carl.
Mediocre's good. Medium.
So let's reflect on scores across. How'd you go, James?
Yeah, I had the idea. I put it together this
Yep.
morning. I was in here kind of thinking around that, and I wanted to do a lot of cyclical work, specifically like some kind of triathlon. That was my initial idea, and so to get to scoring, we'll just jump to it in terms of like how to put it together for what we were talking about for it.
Yeah.
So my idea was to go out hard, in my opinion, for strategy, and hang on. Now in the back end, we were saying, well, how could you score this really cool to make people strategize to get the best score possible? And you could go two ways. You could say, go as hard as you want, and then just put up with whatever you get. And then we thought afterwards it'd be cool to take everyone's best round in score, and then every round thereafter, if you weren't exactly on that, whatever you were above or below was a point that was working against you. So as an example, and I'll stop after that for my example, which is a good one that Carl pointed out. 39 push-ups the first round. And then there was one round, I think I did 24. No, I did 26 is the lowest, right? So that's 13 points that would go against me, right, for that round. That's only that round. So every other round that was below 39, you add those points up. So if you add up all those points, that would be, anti-pacing, right? So that's one way that you can think about how to score it. The second way would just be go all out and see how many points you get.
I like that. I like that scoring tactic if the person doesn't know going in that's the scoring tactic. If you just say like, be as sustainable as possible, like that's the goal, but you don't tell, because then it's like gaming starts to occur and like
Take
you know
it
what I mean?
easy on the
Yeah,
fast
Well, that's why I
or
preempted.
or push the last 10 seconds to like hit those last 3 calories.
Well, that's where I preempted that I strategized to go as hard as possible.
Yeah.
After the fact, we said, let's score this way. But the second part I forgot to mention was that it brings up your point of, if you do go in and strategize, there's an absolute you can go after for relative intensity, right? Like you could go after that. But to Carl's point, which is, do you want to get the most points or do you just want to go as hard as possible? And that's the choice you have to make, right? But this is the caveat, going hard as possible doesn't always make you win, relatively.
Yeah.
So that's the intricate aspect of Carl's point of like, well, you can back off and strategize. Yeah, but that may get you the most points. Do you see what I'm saying? Depending upon how it's scored, right? Your point was really cool because the push-ups in ski you thought weren't as absolutely as high, right? So then we asked the question, which we could ask everyone to think about, what happens if you are like that? Going in that there's 2 upper body components you're not gonna do as good at. Do you say, I'm gonna go really hard on the row and the bike to make up as many points I'm not gonna get on the ski and push-up? My opinion is when we tried that so often, people actually lose a higher percentage on the shit they're not as good at to the higher degree. Right? So the best strategy, and I wonder if you guys have opinions on that, the best strategy would be just work at 80% to 85% for the row and bike, like a really good top end, and then go as best as you can on the ones you're not as good at. I wonder what you guys would think about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I approached it. So I'm not saying it was the best strategy out of the three of us, but I knew that where I would have to like work to keep up the same exact score would be the bike and the row. Just because I knew they had those lower body components, and just the way that my body felt today, I was like a little toast in the quads and in the hamstrings based on what I did the past couple days. So those were the two ones where I was like, take it a little bit easier on those. And then I pushed to like, 90% probably what I could have gotten on the push-up, and then just maintain that the entire time. And then the ski, it was very similar, because the skier, to me, it's like going harder doesn't actually fatigue me as much as going harder on the bike or the rower. Yeah. Like it feels like as soon as I get off the ski, it's like I'm recovered right away if it isn't lungs. Yeah. So I attacked it in a similar way.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's like an interesting reflection on like the sport of mixed modal and other sports in general. Like, do you try to bring up the things that you're really good at and let other things suffer? Yeah. Or do you try and bring some element of balance by bringing up weaknesses?
Yeah, it's context of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The principal answer is, well, you do that in training. You don't do that in a sport situation, right? So that you're sending kids out or you're sending adults out to slaughter for that, right? So instead you say, you're not good, excuse me, Carl, if I'm bastardizing this, but you're not good at reading plays, right? So you don't say, well, just get out there and you got to go better at reading plays, right? You put them in situations like cognitive behavioral therapy where it's like, you see that? Try it. You see that? Try it. Now we're going to give you this. Now we're going to give you that. Now we're going to give you that. And then it gets more intense. Then they get to the play situation and hopefully that memory like fills in. So it's contextual, I guess. But I was always on the side, I probably erred more on the caution side, in my particular coaching practice because of my previous injury, right? So my injury always has that bias that comes in. It's like, I don't want these people getting fucked up in practice. So I always erred on the side of less of that, we're gonna work on your weaknesses all year in training. I would wait until there was like good time for that. Sorry that was lengthy, but that's my opinion on the characteristics. Yeah, I love that philosophical piece though.
Yeah, to me that's just a typical strengths and weaknesses analysis. Even outside of fitness, it's like identify what your strengths are and your weaknesses and understand the opportunity cost that it's going to cost you bringing up those weaknesses and if it's actually worth it. So let's say that, those weaknesses are here and those strengths are like right above those weaknesses. Is the opportunity cost of bringing up those weaknesses to your strengths, are you going to end up net negative at the end of the day, instead of like, okay, I'm just going to like touch these weaknesses and continue to lean into those strengths, and that's going to make me better at the sport, better in business, better in whatever the heck the thing is, right? So I think it's always that, personalized strengths and weakness analysis and understanding what you need to lean into and what you don't.
You guys may have seen this too, where I think in that situation sometimes so we have to create context around what we determine a weakness. There has to be a judger for the weakness, right? Because some people, especially like in life situations or business, will deem that they got to work on their weaknesses, but they're only creating this weakness facade because they're scared shitless of going after the things they're really good at. So that's also, sometimes that plays out in fitness as well, where people are just scared shitless and they're like, oh no, weakness, coach. It's like, actually, it doesn't matter. That, like your valgus on the pistol, it doesn't matter, right? So why are you afraid of going after what you're really good at, right? Like 2K row PR world record or a clean world record or something like that. In the sport, but I see that as well.
Yeah. You can see it like...
they're just scared.
Like for coaches watching, like imagine having a consultation with your client and their goals are not surrounded around performance at all, but they have this perceived weakness of kipping handstand push-ups. And it's like, are we going to spend a shit ton of time going after improving this kipping handstand push-up just because you want to improve it, because you think that it's a weakness of yours and you think it's something that you need to be good at, or it doesn't align with anything? It doesn't even matter. You should actually never even do the movement. Let's put that weakness aside and never even think about it again, right? So we could talk around like 1,000 examples of that, like in life even.
For sure. But that's why mixed modal context for sport, there has to be a judger. There has to be a test. So we may not have the answer in your idea of like what we consider great kipping handstand push-ups, but we'll give them power snatch, female, power snatch 105 pounds, pistols, handstand push-ups, 7 rounds for time, right? So is that a perfect judgment of keeping handstand push-ups? No, it's not. But it's at the highest degree of intensity where we can see how good you are at it, right? So someone may only get, 24 in a row and be like, oh, I suck at those. But they score like top 5% in that score, right? So it's like, well, yeah, if you got to do 150 in a row at the games, we got a problem. But that's never the context. So there has to be a judger to what they determine that. But I know your point. I hear it all the time. It's like you go through the laundry list. Oh, I'm not good at those. I'm not good at those. It's like, who said that? Where did that come from?
Who cares?
So I've seen you work out. I mean, I think it's pretty damn good.
This
Anyways,
is
that
why I
was a
love
lengthy
fitness.
scoring-
No, I think
lengthy
it's
scoring conversation.
It's such a good opportunity to reflect on things like that. You have moments like this in the gym, and it connects so broadly to outside.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
good little learning right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just quickly back to the workout. Who would you give a piece like this to? Who's this for?
Well, we were just discussing it, I think, the other day. We're implementing, let's call it a more global concept for our progressions in aerobic work for the general population. In CCP, it's very robust if you want to think about it. If there's 100 stepwise progressions to get really good at aerobic, that's what CCP is. It's like 100 lengthy versions of it. And through realization in working with the general public, most of the general public can't get past step 6. So we've devised ways of moving out to the general public to say, this is the first 6 steps. And this would be, I believe, the top end of the 6th step for the general population. So I would call it quasi like an introduction to mixed modal aerobic work. 20 minutes with the goal of repeatability, sustainability, etc. I think we're getting into that like bent arm gymnastics activity that it would probably be, in our language, the highlighting element for a person's general fitness in their life.
Because of the push-up.
In this exactly, because you're adding more than just cyclical activities. So what was your question?
Who is it for?
It's like the general population that have spent many, many years developing a good aerobic system. They're just entering into that. And I laugh because ironically, most of the general population and the fitness industry believes this is where most people should enter into exercise.
The interesting thing is,
so that's
if we looked at this in progression, right? You look at ski, row, bike, that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a really long period of time. And then after that really long period of time, you're doing ski, row, and bike together in a session 3 times a week for a very long period of time. And then that 3rd step progression would be ski, row, bike, push-up. So it's like you're going years and years and years of like cyclical, mixed cyclical, and then what you're calling like
mixed,
high level for that general population, step 6, mixed.
And while that cyclical and mixed cyclical is going on, this is being worked on.
Like this person is capable of doing 25 push-ups in a row. You see what I'm saying? So, but that shouldn't be, it was a good question, that shouldn't be what dictates if someone can do this. Because that's what people think. They're like, oh, I can do 25 push-ups, so I heard you say that I can enter in here. No, you forgot what Carl said, which was like 8 to 9 years of development of all these things first before you get to enter into this. But your point is right. By this point in time, they should be able to make gymnastics activity, slow gymnastics activity, aerobic. So muscle endurance has become somewhat aerobic as a skill. And we could argue all day as to the futility inside of that for longevity, but I think it's a nice, it's something that people can chew on for 20 or 30 years that gives them some longevity.
Well, guys, if you do have someone who fits that mold and you give them a piece like this, or you try it yourself, let us know how it goes in the comments.
Try some of the scoring ideas we talked about too. See, you may want to give this to this person and ask them to do it 2 different ways. One way, try to maintain the same score the whole time, and your score based upon plus or minus from your best round. And then another time down the road, just say, I want you to go all out. Just let go and let's see how you do. And then see some differences in that. That'd be cool.
Indeed. Thanks guys.